Hey there, Mama Work It Tribe. I'm Marissa Lonick, working mom of 4, lover of all things flow, family, and fulfillment. You're tuning in to the Mama Work It podcast, where we take aim at overwhelm, mom guilt, and exhaustion and swap them out for big dreams, belly laughs, and productivity that actually fits into your life. Every week, we dive into tips, motivation, and a healthy dose of fun so you can slay your day even when you're busy AF. Ready to feel seen, energized, and totally unstoppable? Let's get to work, Mama. Hey, mamas. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I am so excited that you're here. If you are new, my name is Marissa Lonick. I am your host, working mama of 4 kiddos, and founder of Mama Work It, where we support women in the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. I'm super excited for today's guest. His name is Howard Quiggly Chang. Howard is the creator of Ancientz, which is a faith-based storytelling toy brand, and it's designed to help parents raise kids with courage, truth, and strong values. I can't think of a better thing there. Years ago, Howard made his mark in pop culture as one of the original creative forces behind the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toy line. After stepping away from the toy industry and facing personal burnout, he experienced a spiritual awakening that brought him back to his first love, creating stories and characters that inspire. Through Ancientz, Howard combines action-packed storytelling with biblical truth to give families tools for teaching kids about faith, identity, and resilience in a way that's fun and exciting. Howard, I can't wait to dive into more of your story and learn more about this amazing new brand. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me on today. I'm very excited.
Good. Well, let's get started with just give us a little bit more background about your journey creating some of these super iconic toys of the 80s and 90s and now launching Ancientz, this new brand.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first job out of high school. An 18-year-old, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I somehow was lucky enough to land this job. My mom found the ad in the newspaper just to get a summer job. And so when I went, it was 1989, and the Turtles just came out the year before, the toys at least, right? And it was selling everywhere, selling out. I knew nothing about it. At 18, you don't play with toys anymore, but I now put with the task of designing toys. And I was an artist, and apparently I was pretty good at it. And then I would do all these mashups and those off takes of turtle enemies and like all the sports Ninja Turtles, the Army, Marines, everything. So all in all, I probably was involved in hundreds of turtle designs. And, back then it was just a job. I was enjoying it. I was good at it. We've never imagined, like 30 some years later, it's still a thing. The Turtles are still making movies. They're the new variations of the toys are still selling. And, what really got me back about 5 years ago, my old boss, it was Varner Studios, the company that I was working with that did all the prototypes for the toys to be made. And I was part of the first wave of the Ninja Turtles, the one that made it big. And they found thousands of old sketches, original sketches from back in 89 to 96. And they made a Varner Studios sketchbook, which was successful in Kickstarter. And I had to go to Comic-Con to sign the books for people who wanted to buy it. So when I went, I didn't realize that there were a huge fan base of people that loves the Turtles. Now, these fans are now could be in their 40s, right? But they're just so connected with the history of the Turtles. And, there's fans out there, and then there's super fans. Like, for instance, I don't know if you know who designed the BMW 328. You
I
may
do
be
not
a fan
know.
of it. but you don't know who designed it. But super fans know who designed it, what was the
Yes.
inspiration behind it. And I met all those fans at Comic-Con 5 years ago. And the responses and the things they would say about how it impacted their lives through a lot of times their dark times. The turtles were there. A lot of dark stories were there. And just to think that what I did at that age, not thinking it was that big of a deal, makes such an impact on people. It meant a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knew, right? 18 years
Yeah,
old, you're designing Ninja Turtle toys and you're creating this massive impact for people 30 years later coming back. You're autographing books for them. That's awesome.
yeah. I mean, I went to Cal State University of Long Beach, so I was working part time, going to school part time, and I had the job that everybody wanted when they graduated. But I was working it and living it already, so it was like an 8-year run before I got burned out, thinking there's no money in art. Went on
Yeah.
dozens of businesses after that.
Yeah. And during this path, I mean, you became a dad at some point. I know you have kids. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
how that impacted the journey too.
yeah. I mean, you have 4 kids. Wow, I had 3. They're older now, but it was just one of the biggest joys I've ever experienced. And one of the key things I remember is, I have friends who don't have kids, and that's their life journey. And me as a father, the moment my first child was born, that was a metamorphosis, and it was the biggest joy of my life to realize I don't live for myself anymore. My life's not important. It's for somebody else. And that's a huge transformation if you think about it, right? And yeah, I have 3 kids. Oldest one's turning 21 next month, and my second one's going off to college. And yeah, I mean that's been the biggest joy of my life.
So, what inspired you to make that leap back into the toy world after years away? You said you had done other businesses and done other things in the meantime. What made you kind of want to revisit that world?
I always had a love for creating. I love, the fact that I was a Ninja Turtle toy artist was one of those things that was a conversation piece wherever we go. Like, I haven't done any businesses that grew up and became, so big. And I was involved in many, many different businesses. I became like a serial entrepreneur. A couple did okay. I was in manufacturing for a while. I was doing apps, but nothing as fun as doing turtles or designing and creating. And 2012 or 13, I got divorced with 3 young kids, right? And during that time, right before that, I would get invited once in a while to speak at these cons once in a while. People are so interested in the days where we work to design things, and I would just go. And then one time we took our little kids. They were like, very little. I would go up. There was 100 people listening. We would talk about how our experiences were. And I mean, I remember my kids coming up and say, "Dad, are you famous?" Because they would wait in line to get our autographs and stuff, right? Like, not like we're some movie star, but real, really deep turtle fans were there. So yeah, I mean, what inspired me to come back was it's a spiritual journey, actually. I was in and out of the church my whole life, but I never had a real strong connection. But going through the divorce, that was pretty much the lowest point in my life. I think it was I was taking antidepressants, anti-anxiety. My therapist was backing me up, but then I wasn't getting any better. Just the thought of my 3 young kids being in a broken home was just too much for me. But going through that, I had a spiritual awakening. I had a strong, sudden connection and to God, um, and during that, I learned how to pray. But during times of prayer, a lot of people get, they get, confidence. They would get wisdom. but I get visions for some reason. I just see images, and a lot of the things that led to Ancientz, my new um, creation here, all the toys, the figurine line came through prayer. I would see just shapes and images and inspiration.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I want to speak to our audience a little bit because most of our audience are moms, working moms. They feel pulled in a million directions. And I'm sure that you felt this way during specific seasons in your life too, especially raising 3 young kids, single dad, right? Like you said. Yeah. What advice would you give them about pursuing a big dream like this without losing sight of, all the other things that they're responsible for and doing on a daily basis? I mean, it can be challenging.
I have a great example actually. Um, you know, as a single dad, it's a real rough thing to do. But I couldn't go into an office somewhere, so that's one of the key reasons why I always had this this drive to do something from home, something I could manage. I've had job offers, but I just couldn't bear the thought of dropping my kids off somewhere in the morning and picking them up. I just wanted to be part of their lives, right? So I would just say no to these jobs that asked me to be there. I have to be in the office. So, I was running my own marketing thing. I had some computer programming skills at building web, being creative. I was doing ads and branding for companies. So I created a little branding and advertising company on my own. But so I try to work as much as I can to support the kids. But I remember in 2019, that was right before COVID hit, a year before. So I had 3 kids going to 3 different schools, elementary, middle school, high school. They start at different times, end at different times. My youngest one was doing Girl Scouts. So I was helping selling cookies. And then we had my son in baseball, and I was actually coaching the baseball team and spending 13 hours a week, practice, games, and everything. And then my oldest daughter was in high school. She was part of the golf team. So the golf course isn't even close. So I was counting every day I was driving 3 to 3.5 hours a day, right? And then as a single dad that I had the kids during the week, I had to pack 3 different lunches, meaning they like different things. My son doesn't like cheese. My oldest one doesn't like eggs, etc. So, for most people, they might have a panic attack or just kind of like forget all this and leave. But again, my spiritual journey, I found a lot of peace in that. Going through that whole process, man, while going through it, I was barely sleeping, but I had to make sure I get some sleep. And it was a lot of stress with work, trying to fit in work with that. But I was so full of joy. Like, man, when am I going to do this again? And, my kids will remember this. I'll remember this. And that was 6 years ago? And I still remember that year being the year that was most memorable, that I'll never forget. COVID happened the year after that, so my kids stopped going to school. It got a lot easier. Now they're older, they're driving. And I missed that year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being so involved. Now the kids want nothing to do with me. They don't want me to hang out with their their parties anymore. And I got to beg them to come by and spend time with me now.
Don't say that, Howard.
No, it's the saddest thing. It is. But then again, I do love my alone time. I just got remarried after 10 years of being a single dad. More than that. 6 months ago, Gloria and I met online and we hit it off, and she's a single mom also. And so together we have 5 kids. So Thanksgivings are crazy, especially with boyfriends and girlfriends. We got like 10, 11 people at the house.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so relatable. That story is so relatable, that year that you so vividly kind of remember. I think a lot of our listeners, I know myself included, like I'm living that. I'm living that. One kid doesn't like cheese. One kid doesn't want ice in his water bottle, like all those little nuances that we juggle for sure, for sure. Yeah. So let's talk about this new toy line you've got going on, Ancientz. It's designed to help parents disciple their kids through play. So let's take the working mom, for example, working dad in your similar situation. How can they use these kinds of tools, let's call them tools, in the middle of like the chaos they're juggling? Like, I'm sure that you found moments where you could connect with your kids despite the crazy busy schedule. How can Ancientz help in that situation?
Okay, well, as a dad, I witnessed a lot of things. I'm still witnessing a lot of things going on in society with technology, with media. And, as much as I want to control social media, control video games, control what's out there, I mean, it's a losing battle. I think we all can agree to that, right? And the more I tell my kids you can't use social media, the more they hate you, right? So we're surrounded by a lot of negative things out there. I mean, look at the shootings, the rampage shootings, the school shootings. You hear on the news all the time. You have 24-hour news constantly reminding us how we don't want to be out there, right? We have just video games. My son, even when he was little, was playing these, shoot up games, and he got really good at it. So I even went in and tried to compete against him and see how many times we can kill each other, right? And I mean, social media wise, my daughter, like she's on there, she's like 21, beautiful young lady, dancing and doing her thing. So we're kind of going with the flow of how the world is pulling us in. And remember I said 12 years ago, I had this spiritual awakening for these figurines. And I realized that, the Bible has so like unlimited amount of stories, right? Of people overcoming things, hardships, and impossible tasks, not because they're like Superman, they have superpowers, or they have the weapon, they have the gun. They go in with faith, right? And they trust. If you look at the story of David and Goliath, I mean, what story is out there in media, in cartoons nowadays, in video game, where you see this big bully? Bullying is a big thing, as you know, still, right? And mental problems. And you have this young shepherd boy who's like a little teenager with no weapon, just some rocks. And he comes in with full of faith and just knowing he's going to beat this big bully who's 9 foot tall, wearing with a shield and a sword. And those kind of stories are kind of put aside, and all you look at is games like Grand Theft Auto. Have you heard of that game? There's like strippers in there, and there's
I've heard of it, but it's a no in our house. It's a no.
Yeah, it's a no. That was a hard no for me when my son asked me, "Can we get GTA?" I'm like, "No, you put that in the house, you can't live here." Right? That's what I said. I'm letting you get away with playing Call of Duty and everything else. And he was older, right? So, I mean, we need more things in the media and video game and toys that, we don't have to worry about how negatively it would affect our children, right? So this idea and these visions came to me. It was so clear. Like, we just launched Kickstarter. We're hoping we'll get there. But suddenly, because I came out with these, we're doing a lot of work on social media and putting it out there to people to see. And suddenly we were just concerned, are we going to get this made? But we were getting requests from people who wants to invest. We're concerned who's going to make these. Now we got 6 manufacturers trying to get our business. And even Playmates Toys, the company that made the first set of Ninja Turtles that did really well, they're one of the top toy companies. We're meeting with them next month. they want us to come in and kind of discuss this. And how great would it be, right, for kids, whether they're believers or not, these toys I think are so cool. They're a mix of Robotech and Pokemon. Pokemon because there's so many different characters, right? They have their markings on there, their name, their head and eyes light up. And it's a mix of Robotech and Pokemon. That's things I love. And those are the bigger versions, and we have the little keychain versions like Labubu, right? That also light up as you see the lights. So we want to disrupt that market, which is, I think, in my opinion, 75% just all violence and I don't know, something that won't direct our kids in the right direction.
Yeah,
and
love that.
It'd be so cool just to not even think about it. And kids are asking for in Christmas time, they're like, I want an Ancientz instead of a GTA doll, right? They want to play a game where these heroes fight with faith and belief over their shotguns and just, crazy stuff out there.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And all the positive vibes to you as you kind of approach this season of takeoff for the business, for sure, with all these meetings and interest and stuff. I'm sure that's really reaffirming too on that vision that you had. All right. I want to ask you one last question before we hit up our lightning round here, where we're going to dive into more personal questions with you, Howard.
I'm nervous about.
Oh, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Have faith. It's all good. All right. So what is like one practical step you would recommend to a listener who is feeling maybe a nudge or a pull to start a creative outlet or a project or a business or something that's just pulling at them? But maybe they're thinking, like, maybe they've got that voice inside their head that's like, it's too late, or this is unrealistic, or whatever's kind of negating that idea for them. What would you say?
That's been on my head for a long time. That I'm older. My kids are older. I'm 54 years old, and now I'm launching this, right? And the idea came 12 years ago. I could have launched it back then, but you need money and the right people and the right partners. And for me, I never think about that. Is it too late? Can I afford it? But you got to ask yourself a couple of questions. Do I love this, or am I doing this for money? Right? But in most cases, I think the majority of our audiences or people out there need money. This is the world we live in, especially when you're a parent. I got 2 kids in college now, right? So a lot of times for me, I got into business where I didn't love it, but I was good at it. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
so one of the things that people always say is, if be good at something you don't love, right? And that will get you financial freedom, right? But when you love something, don't do it for money, right? Like this, I want to say I don't do it for money, but it's costing a lot of money. It's breaking our banks, and now we got to raise money to move forward. So please help us on Kickstarter and everywhere else. But for me, my whole business journey, I was doing things I didn't love, but I got good at it. I mean, for 6 years, I was a Transact SQL computer programmer, and I hated reading those books, but I had to do what I had to do to support the family, right? So It's never too late for me. Look at me, I'm 54. My kids are all older. They don't even care about these toys now, right? But, hopefully God will provide, and I'll be where he needs to be.
Yeah. I love that advice, because I think a lot of times people see this as like a really black and white issue of like, it's either this or that, but it could also be just a not yet. or it could be like, these are stepping stones getting to me to where I need to be, because we do need that financial aspect, right? Like we have to live. We have to have a lifestyle. We have to provide for our kids. We have to put food on the table, a roof over our heads, all those things. And so sometimes that means of that income coming in and your passion, like they don't have to be exactly the same thing at that time, right? But they could coexist in different ways.
I remember that the whole thing about, the world always says, wouldn't it be great to have a job doing something you love to do, right?
Yeah.
That everyone says that. It's not always the truth because I had my first job. I loved to draw. I was creating toys. Who wouldn't love that job? I got burnt out because I loved to draw, but after almost 8 years of that, I hated drawing.
Right.
It became a job, right?
Yeah.
So like I would come home from work and I had a bunch of friends that would ask me, "Hey, Howard," they knew I was an artist. "Can you draw me something?" And I would like, "Forget you, man. You pay me to do that." So I became a sour artist. Like, oh my, I didn't want to pick up the pencil anymore because it just became work.
Yeah.
So it's like if you love something, yeah, I would rather just do it on the side. Because right now I still run my marketing business because some clients depend on me. Do I love it? No, I'm good at it, and companies appreciate it, and they pay me. But this is what I love to do. I don't want to associate money with that. I don't want to make this work. I want to make this something I love to do. I want to go and I can't wait to sketch out the next character. I want to do Moses. I want to do Joseph, right?
It's like a bonus if the money comes from it for you.
Absolutely. I mean, not everybody makes a lot of money doing something which you can call their dream, right? Some people decide to open a laundromat. I'm sure that was not their dream, but ended up opening 100 of them, right? So they became financially free because of that.
Yeah, totally. Laundromat would not be my dream. I don't like doing laundry.
I don't think a lot of people.
But if it is your dream, good for you.
The best laundromat ever.
Yes. Go forth and do laundry. Please do mine too.
That's a great idea. Open a laundromat with a bar and food. You just sit there doing your laundry and having a great time.
That's your next business.
That's my business.
All right. We're going to jump into our lightning round now. I know you're nervous. Don't be nervous. We're just going to ask you some fun, random, personal questions just so we can get to know you a little bit better. You ready?
All right, shoot. Let's go.
All right. So I'm curious, when you're drawing, and I don't know if you play music or anything like that, but do you have like a motivating song that helps you?
Never thought about that. I listen to podcasts like you. I listen to news radio. I listen to people talking.
Yeah.
Because I have a drawing is a job where you can actually do something else. Like I remember when I was computer programming, I used to listen to a lot of music. I listened to a lot of 80s and 90s music, which I love, right? My playlist is amazing because I'm old. I love those that era.
I like 90s music. I like 80s music too.
But then when I'm drawing, I remember I used to listen to books on tape. And when you're drawing, you listen to books on tape. When I was younger, I listened to Steinbeck and everyone. I'm reading books while I'm drawing. I get inspired by listening. Nowadays, I'm listening to Greg Laurie sermons, right? But then when I'm doing something else that requires your brain space, because when I think about it, when I'm drawing, I'm usually not even using that part of the brain.
Yeah.
It just flows out of me. So I could listen to podcasts like How I Built This. I love that podcast. I can listen to TV shows like Shark Tank, right?
Yeah.
And do things. That's my answer.
It almost gets you in like a meditative, like subconscious state for your drawing that you're not even like focused or paying attention to it in that part of your brain, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be a book or an episode on that.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. Are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Definitely the extrovert, but ENFP they call it. I don't know, the Myers-Briggs. Yeah, I like social settings. I go out there, like to talk to people. Yep,
Yeah.
I'm here
What?
talking to you.
I know. And you're loving it. What if they made a movie about your life? This could actually happen, Howard. Who would you want to play you?
Oh man, I mean, if there was an Asian version of Keanu Reeves, I'd love it. Because his Bill and Ted, I'm a total Ted there, and I love his hair. I love
You've got some
Matrix
Keanu hair going. I could see
and,
it.
and Point Break. I grew up surfing by the beach, so like, man, I love Keanu, man.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Keanu, if you're listening,
Yeah.
it's a
He was
great,
Asian.
great story to tell for sure. All right. And last question. What's something most people may not know about you?
Man, yeah, went through a lot. It kind of ties into that question of who would play me and what would the movie be called? And I would call it Out of the Sewer because I went through the whole dark ages and I'm the kid no parent wants to have. If you had a kid like mine, Marissa, like me, you would just give up. You would just kick them
No.
out. I was a troublemaker growing up and not coming home, and I was into a lot of drinking in my 20s, and got into messed around with drugs and all that, and soon came to myself and got married. And yeah, it was quite a life journey I lived.
Yeah.
Lucky to be alive today. So the movie is Out of the Sewer. The guy who draws Ninja Turtles who live in the sewer, and then he got out of it.
I think that's the perfect title. I love it. And we need a part 2 of this episode, I think, to talk about that movie. So
No, there's
get
like 5
get with your
episodes.
LA buddies, get the script going, and then we'll have you back on.
All right, sounds good. It's always fun being here. It's a lot of fun questions. I thought you were gonna ask some questions that I want to plead the fifth to.
No. I mean, I don't know. Nothing that crazy, but we could keep going. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Howard. Well, let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can learn more about Ancientz. I know you mentioned your Kickstarter a few times, so we'll link that in our show notes today. Anything you want to leave our listeners with as far as where they can get in touch?
Yeah, I mean, quickly, it's ancientz.com. Very simple. We paid a lot of money for that website. Ancientz has a Z at the end, not an S. So it's ancientz with the Z.com. But either way, we're going to move forward with this. And we're hoping to get into the homes of everybody in the world, right? With these amazing stories. And let's beat the bullies with that. And our Instagram is ancientz_official. And then you can see my personal art Instagram, which is Quiggly with 2 G's, Quiggly .daze, DAZE. I love Z.
Yeah, you do. And you can cast your vote if you think Keanu Reeves would be a good person to play Howard in his Out of the Sewer movie. 2028. All right. Well, thanks for being here, Howard. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you feel empowered, inspired, and ready to take your next step. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another amazing mama, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps us show up wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to head over to mamaworkit.com for free resources, coaching support, and new ways to momage your days as a busy mom. Until next time, keep on working it, mama.